I got to find some jokes. He doesn't write. That was clear. He's got an incredible memory. He's incredibly ambitious. He does his work. Doesn't write. Is he absorbing things? Is he doing other people's stuff? You decide. I think it's clear. But the interesting thing to me on another level is the personality. Is that this is a guy that didn't do drugs. He didn't drink. He minded his own business. He was a pariah even before he became a reputed thief and an asshole. He had personality problems in the sense that he didn't treat people well. He was kind of a dick. But in thematically, in terms of what we talk about a lot on this show, is that his addiction was really the power of making people laugh and making as many people laugh as possible, and that he would do anything to get that buzz, that he would feed that monster, he would feed that addiction, he would just absorb whatever jokes he wanted to do, so when he got on stage, he could feel powerful, he could feel funny, he could feel in control, he could feel like, he was the planet itself. And the choices he made, either consciously or unconsciously, to feed that monkey on his back has put him in the position that he's in now. Now, in terms of, is he a good person? Do people make bad choices in their life over and over and over again? Are they shitty people? Well, that's for you to decide. I mean, clearly he feels that he was in certain respects, and he feels that he has a burden to carry, which he does, and he feels that he made some mistakes. I don't know if he's going to change. Everybody makes compromises on some level, but I think what determines whether or not people will accept it is how big of an asshole you are and how you treat other people. Now, it becomes clear to me that, Carlos is a bully, and Carlos is, very self-centered. He's grandiose. He does lie. It goes in and out, but whatever. And bullies will be bullied. And I think if you look at the Joe Rogan situation, if you look at that situation that happened at the Comedy Store, a couple of things were going on. A lot of that stuff was bullshit. A lot of that stuff was overstock material. A lot of that was a cockfight that took place at the Comedy Store, which is a demonic hellhole of a castle of pain that generates this kind of tension. But it was really a bully on bully fight about bullshit. Rogan was posturing, Mencia was posturing. The topics of what was being postured about, whether he changed his name, whether he wasn't really Mexican. This was just a bully, a guy like Joe Rogan, who was like, fuck you, and if you got a problem with that, I'll kick your ass. And make no mistake, Carlos Mencia was designed and created by the Comedy Store. And this was really a turf battle that got captured on tape, and it became an international incident, which is interesting to me, just by virtue of the fact that I believe that this stuff should stay within the community and be dealt with the people involved. And because of the internet, everybody got involved. So now there's a lot of people out there, and some of you I'm speaking to right now, who think that your job is to police comedy. And it's a sad indication of where we're at now, in the sense that nothing is really personal. Nothing is within the community. Everything can become a global event. There were issues that were real, and I think we dealt with them here. But there are a lot of people out there plinking away on their keys, making judgments about people's lives that are just bullies. Bullies beget bullies. And that's a reality. I don't think it's good. I think that this stuff can be dealt with without destroying, somebody's, career. Another interesting thing is that I don't know many comics that aren't derivative. I don't know many comics that haven't gone through periods of their career where they were literally doing other people's, not acts, but style. I see it all the time. Somebody steals or appropriates unconsciously, out of a desire to be like the person that they respect, the style. Most people, they'll go through an Attell period, a Hedberg period, a Todd Barry period, a Hicks period, whatever. You have to learn how to do what you do, by emulating. And I think that's something you see, certainly in the Carlos thing, is that there was an attempt at mimicry. That given the fact that he's not a joke writer, that is established, that, his real drive is to be funny and feed this power trip that he has and feel at one with the world by, owning a room of 5,000 people, also making money. But I think that everybody goes through at least a phase of being derivative. And this is another problem with the internet, and because of YouTube and because of everything else, is that nobody can develop in private anymore. Everything has to be public. You know, you can't even do a new joke if someone's in there with a cell phone. They burn it before it's even a full joke on the internet. That there's no privacy whatsoever just to sort of move through your phases. The thing I'm building up to here is that everybody is derivative, but people pick whipping boys. They pick people to beat up. They pick people to bully. I don't know what the real point of all this was, other than to explore a comedic mindset and to explore somebody who has been villainized, who has been made a pariah, and to sort of, sync that up with the way the comedy mind works, with the way the comedy community works, with who gets hurt. A couple of things that we learned here is that if you're an asshole, it's going to come back to you. If you're a thief, it's going to come back to you. And because of the world we live in now, you might never be able to live it down. Also, I'm finding that most people that do this, somewhere inside them, it is causing their conscience trouble and pain. So what do we come away with? Here's what I know. Hack jokes are hack jokes. They are what they are. They're inevitable. Stock premises are everywhere. They're inevitable. Can you protect your hack jokes and your stock premises? Probably not. Can you do it legally? Probably not. Do comedians need some sort of legal protection of original material? Yes. Okay. Given that, stealing is bad. It's a bad thing. Stealing jokes is a bad thing. It hurts people. It robs people of their ability to, engage in their own creativity. Certainly. Being derivative exists. It's inevitable. Everything is derivative. To what degree you're derivative, that's up to you and how much you can find and honor your own voice. That's where that stands. The comedy community has dealt with this shit before. We know who the thieves are. We know when someone steals their own joke. We know when, how to handle that. It is something we've been dealing with for years and years. And we deal with it. Now, when in this situation, the real question is that do you all feel good out there in the darkness, jumping on a bandwagon to try to destroy somebody, to try to assassinate somebody's character to the point where either they're incapacitated completely from working, from functioning as a person, from, engaging or enjoying in their life. I mean, is that satisfying? I know it is. I know it feels good to say, fuck you, you suck, you're terrible, you should die, you should go work at McDonald's. It's all very satisfying to be a bully, especially when you can just do it behind a screen name. But my real question is if somebody is willing to change or trying to change or actually does change, is that interesting? Is that satisfying to say that somebody, is different now? Is that going to be as